Well, that's interesting. Hello, everybody. Joe Joseph here on Kev Baker's one and only YouTube channel. A very, very good and up-and-coming YouTube channel with so much to offer. If you haven't subscribed, I would certainly recommend you do so. And we're here. It's the Weekenders Beard Edition.
And we have to mention not only a growing YouTube channel, but a growing live channel.
Yes, D-Live. Fantastic. I'm so happy that finally there's a decent alternative to YouTube. And a lot of people are flocking over to it. So if you haven't yet, please do so.
Not only that, my good friend, Unirock. I was watching PewDiePie today because he's obviously the poster boy for D-Live. I'm just sitting there watching him, thinking this is pretty cool. Not many people with the kind of fame and the money that PewDiePie has, really takes time out to pay attention to people that are just up and coming, He remembers when he was small. So I'm sitting there, and he goes to the first channel. Oh, big shout out to Jill, new member already. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So I'm sitting there, enjoying the stream. 5 minutes into it, and I'm thinking, hang on, I thought I was watching PewDiePie. Why is Unirock on the screen? Pewdie went into Uni's stream and dumped him, I think it was like 50,000 or 40,000 Lino points.
Good grief.
52,000 Lino.
And last night, folks, I was very kind of on the fence about D-Live. Big shout out to everyone over there, because there was a lot of rumours going around the internet. And the one that really worried me was the fact that there was people saying that PayPal, they take nothing to do with Lino points, D-Live. They're going to be suspending accounts. I can absolutely dismiss all of those fears because Uni has shown a receipt from PayPal. He's been paid out. Nobody else is moaning about not being paid out. So I think, guys, we might be on to a viable alternative here. And I like it. I really do like it. So big shout out to everyone over there. I'm in the chat room at D-Live and at YouTube. So looking forward to this one. And of course, tonight we have Scotty Lopez here with us. How you doing, Scotty?
Yep.
I'm doing fantastic, gentlemen. Another weekend is upon us.
Yes.
So I'll continue some excellent conversation that from last night.
Oh, it was good conversation. And of course, we've got the beard. And if you want your own Popeye beard, like Jill just done, all you have to do is click join and you get the Popeye emoji. But we've got him here with us. Popeye, how you doing, man?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Very good. Quite excited. It's not only did Unirock appear on PewDiePie's channel today, not only did Tiger Woods make the biggest comeback in sport, but we've also got Game of Thrones starting tonight, dude. Big night.
Oh, winter is coming. No, winter is here.
Winter
Finally.
is here. Yeah. So how you
Finally, I've only been waiting 10 years to, however long Game of Thrones has been on to to see the final outcome. Oh, come on. It's a cool. If you have to wait till they all come out, so then you can just binge watch the show.
That's
It's
basically
interesting.
what I'm waiting for.
I'm probably part. I'm probably part of the like 0.5% of the population who has never seen a single episode of Game of Thrones.
You and me both, Scotty.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
And get this, I have never sat through an entire episode. I've seen pieces of it, but I've never sat through an entire episode of The Walking Dead either.
Me neither. That's two of us.
Dude, what is wrong with you guys?
Never watched a single episode of The Walking Dead. Have absolutely no clue. But hold on, before we get into TV shows or anything else. By the way, sorry for my shitty audio, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in my car.
Is it shitty?
There's that. But question about D-Live, because I only heard about PewDiePie mentioning this the other day.
Okay.
So, I haven't looked into it. All right, so you know my biggest issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, besides getting my videos, screwed with on the regular basis for other reasons, like the shit I was telling you about off air right before you guys popped on the live stream here. But my biggest issue is my intro. And Warner Brothers blocks my videos all over the place, even though we both know, Joe, that Tim modified everything in the audio and actually enough to the point where it's considered a full-on remix. And it does not matter. They hit it and they block anything I put up. Like half my videos are blocked. And if I go to just adjust the audio and cut it out, that's when they mute the whole track. They leave the video up and there's no audio at all. So my question is D-Live going to fuck with me if I put my stuff, all of my archives up on there
Probably
for
so.
people to listen to?
No. Not that I know of. No, because
No.
I've seen a lot of stuff on D-Live that would get totally shot down on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah.
And plus, it's decentralized, so I think everyone's videos are stored on the blockchain.
Oh, well, that may be different, but all I can tell you, Popeye, is that there's been a lot of laws enacted recently that can really screw with, maybe not today, it's not happening, but you go through all that effort and you upload all that stuff, and it's just a matter of time before, maybe something happens where they do enact something like that, or they do enact a policy of that nature. I don't know, because like Scotty said, it's a decentralized blockchain type of thing. So I don't even know how you'd enforce it.
Yeah, I don't think you can
in that
enforce
matter. I don't even think they can.
I don't think from what I've heard from other streamers, I think it's going to be okay that way. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can try it. Be the guinea pig for sure.
And I mean,
I would, Popeye. I would try
Yeah.
it. Just you don't have anything to lose. I mean, they've already screwed with your YouTube channel, so I mean, what do you have to lose, man?
And if anyone wants to simulcast like YouTube, Twitch, D-Live, go to the link in the description. It's restream.io. That's what we use to do that. It's really, really simple. I even seen Jennifer, Veterans for Truth. I see her in the chat there. She done a brilliant stream today as well. There's one slight problem. Sometimes I came across this when I first trialed it. When you're in the Restream actual website, you have to turn off one of your YouTube live events and just leave your YouTube channel, or else you're going out twice at once on YouTube and you end up with like a split audience. It's really weird how it does that, but it's easily rectified. So Jennifer, if you were wondering why that happened, just turn off one of your things in restream.io. But Jennifer, great stream. I was listening to you talking about the cameras at Walmart. We've got a Walmart story tonight as well coming up.
Yes, we do.
Very relevant. But I thought we'd start on Game of Thrones. Can we say spoiler alert? It's not really a spoiler alert, is it?
Maybe, kind of. I mean,
You're not spoiling anything for me because I've never seen it.
I mean,
So
not for me either, but
But it's not really a spoiler anyway, is it? Because it's AI has predicted what happens by scraping the wiki fan pages and all the stuff of that.
hey, here's something. Now, Jennifer just posted this in the chat room, and I think this is important, Popeye. It says, D-Live seems to have the same type of terms of service as YouTube. So if something goes down, they'll drop you and Alex Jones is already banned from D Live.
Whoa.
She said, just saying, but I'm still going to do it. So
Whoa. I didn't know
so, I
that.
mean, yeah, so you still got that. Like I said, like from the standpoint of Scotty,
fuck this. I'm gonna figure out a way. I have enough web developer friends, and I still have Federal Jack. I'm just gonna make my own shit.
make your own shit. Yeah, that's your best way to do it.
Fuck that. I mean, I have Popeye Radio. I just have to, it takes a little bit more for video and everything else, and especially if you have a shit ton of traffic. That's not even the problem. The real issue is that YouTube, Vimeo, or D Live, or any of these other, even these alternatives to YouTube, are all controlled, and you can't have, that's copyrighted bullshit. It's fucking fair use, and it's a fucking remix, and it's a fucking 1.5 minute long intro. And you know what? People are like, lose the intro, and I'm like, no, it's a matter of motherfucking principle. No.
That's what. Now, Kev just had an attorney on last week dealing with Article 13 over in the EU that has to do a lot with this. And he basically said, if it's copyright, if it's content, if it's anything, music, just keep it out.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
That's the only safe way, the only safe way. And he's going to be coming back on either tomorrow or Tuesday or Thursday, because this is when it gets ratified. Article 13 becomes law. So he's going to come on, he's going to clear up all of the key points that people like us here on YouTube, D Live, all these different platforms, what we need to know. Instagram, Facebook, he covers the lot. So, yeah, the whole thing's changing, Popeye. Remember what it used to be like? You used to be able to get away with murder on YouTube, basically. Not anymore, dude. Not anymore.
Dude, are you like... well, we knew this was going to happen, but it's super frustrating and irritating beyond belief, because they don't censor CNN or any of that bullshit. And I remember back in the day when you went to CNN's YouTube channel, and they had like literally a video would get 50 views or 100 views or maybe 300 views, unless it was something that was major. There was a major event happened, and somebody used, embedded their video in a website or something. Most of the time, their videos had like no views at all. There were regular YouTube channels like Nuff Respect that had 100 times the subscribers that CNN or MSNBC or any of them did. Back in the day when the Alexa rankings were free and you could...
Oh, we lost him. He's paused.
There he goes. He goes, hit that dead zone.
While we wait for him to come back, then. He's back. He's back. There we go.
Dead zone. So back when you could look at Alexa, you could look at any of these alternative media websites, and they had a higher ranking.
Yep.
And they had a higher ranking than MSNBC or like Chris Matthews. He has his own personal website.
Yeah.
Federal Jack had a higher ranking than he did in the U.S. Okay. Other alternative media websites rivaled like MSNBC and CNN themselves.
Popeye, I remember one month.
The alternative media was they made the alternative media respond to them instead of them responding to us. We're back, or I'm not part of it. I've been out of it, but for a while. But the alternative media of now responds to anything the mainstream puts out. So it's a back and forth game of ping pong, controlled conversation and dialogue. Right? It's all bullshit. It's kabuki theater. It keeps these important people, these intelligent individuals. There are still people that look through that and investigate stuff, but it keeps a lot of people busy from looking into the real shit because everybody's too busy arguing over Orange Man good or Orange Man bad.
Popeye, doesn't matter because anyone that goes searching for your channel ends up on DITRH, which is a flat Earth channel. TRH. Just saying, Popeye, maybe you want to consider maybe changing the name of your channel. But I remember back in the day, 1 month, I was so proud. I got like the top alternative reporter in the UK. Used to get these little rewards in your in your YouTube profile. That was brilliant. That was cool. But Jennifer in the chat knocked it off there. It's not YouTube anymore. It's the YouTube. it's corporate tube. That's the way it's going. Although I do love YouTube, being a YouTube partner, I can't say too much about that. But yeah, obviously, it is changing. But I want to, come on, Joe, let's get into the AI and Game of Thrones, man. Yeah.
The AI,
everyone,
let's do
there's a lot of people in Game of Thrones mode tonight. Me, probably, namely. So come on, what's the AI telling us, dude?
Huffington Post has a piece. Don't like surprises? Well, AI predicts who survives Game of Thrones. So let's see here. If you're a Game of Thrones fan and appreciate the element of surprise, stop listening now.
Don't tell people to tune out, dude.
Student at the Technical University of Munich have developed an application to predict which character has the best chance to claim the coveted Iron Throne in the HBO hit medieval fantasy series about warring families. They've taught the application to scour the web for information about each of the characters, which is then processed by AI algorithms to assess their survival chances. So we scrapped the results from different wiki pages and wiki-like pages about the books and TV show. We took our data, like gender and ages of the character. This is Christian Delago speaking. He is actually one of the students that helped program the algorithm. He said, we put all this together to train the algorithm to tell us when this character is going to die. And there's a good chance the application will get it right. Because back in 2016, an algorithm created by computer science students at the same university in a southern German city, shortly before the start of season 6, accurately predicted that Jon Snow would resurrect. So if you're still reading or listening, clearly you're not a fan of plot twists and turns. So here you go. The AI says that Daenerys Targaryen.
Daenerys, Joe.
Thanks. Daenerys
Targaryen, Joe.
Has the best chance of survival.
The mother of dragons. The mother of dragons, dude. She's absolutely gorgeous.
She's got the red dragon on her side like Kev used to. That's why Kev's where he's at now.
Popeye, I have got a whole host of new listeners that have never seen my embarrassing moments with the red dragon. So can we please not talk about that? Can we make the red dragon like a Mandela effect?
So what you're basically saying is those who are members of the Red Dragon Club don't talk about Red Dragon Club. I wasn't part of Red Dragon Club.
The first rule of Red Dragon Club is don't listen to Joe Joseph when he says join Red Dragon Club.
I didn't. Wait, what? Who said? Did I tell you? I think I was wasn't I the guy that said no red dragons? I think I was that guy.
No, you were the guy that said to me, "Oh, Kev, this is absolutely just up your street. You're gonna love this, dude, man. We've got the ambassador of the Red Dragon Society.
It has to be good. It has to be right.
You know the show Entourage?
Yeah,
right?
Man.
You know the character Ari, right? The agent. That's Joe, right? He's that kind of like. He's like, hey, I got this guy. I know this dude. It's crazy, like, right? Thinks he's a time traveler from Mars. You should have him on your show, right? He's friends with some, Illuminati family, but they're the good Illuminati, and they're trying to fight the bad Illuminati. You should have him on your show. He's totally legit, I promise. And then like years later, Joe's like, dude, you're such a douche for having that guy on your show. You should have totally knew it.
No,
you're like a slimy Hollywood agent for douchebaggery sometimes, Joe. I love you, though. You're my fam. I love you, buddy.
Who, me? So, yeah, that's kind of interesting now that they're using AI to predict the ends of series. But it also speaks volumes because, interestingly enough, Colorado just signed I think it's the 15th state to enact a red flag law when it comes to guns, right? So if anybody thinks that you're a danger to yourself or others, the police then can go get a warrant to take your guns based on the preponderance of the evidence, which is a civil, it's a civil level of proof, because you don't need to do it beyond a reasonable doubt. It's only a preponderance of the evidence. That means 51%, basically. And then they can come and take your guns away for up to 364 days. And then more until you prove you're guilty till proven innocent, that you're not a danger to yourself or others. And so 15 states now, Colorado, the latest one. And if you think about it, all this technology they have at their disposal, it's like Minority Report on steroids. And they're using it all when every time they've done it, they've never said, well, we're not going to use it for that. And then they end up using it for that. Prescription monitoring program, same thing. Millions of people suffer. Popeye suffers. My wife suffers because of chronic pain. And now they suffer even more because the police, the state's boards of health for each state, they're all pharmacies. They're all using it to basically fish. And for doctors, they vilify doctors. Oh, you're prescribing too much. Who said? What's too much? You know? But this is what they do. It's all dystopian. The road is paved to hell by good intentions. Bullshit. You know? And so
if you're not happy, Joe, you can just sharpen your ladle and come to Scotland.
I'm going to sharpen my ladle and come over there and just start. Yeah.
Get yourself set.
The healthcare system in this country, and I'm not saying that socialized healthcare is no better, because people are like, well, the answer is socialized healthcare. No, the VA is socialized healthcare, and if you want to just take a look at that as an example of a disaster, okay, and why it doesn't work properly, maybe here's how you'd have enough money to have socialized medicine, and I do believe, and I'm not a socialist, but I do believe that the government, well, maybe not that, I don't know. You'd have to have it so that the government couldn't fuck it up. Like, you'd have to have like an agency or a branch that was run by civilians. I don't know. You'd have to have some sort of civilian oversight of the program or whatever. But
independent oversight.
I can get down with people, civilians having health care. I don't have a problem with government spending money on healthcare. It's a great way to spend tax dollars. If you're going to look, they're going to spend your tax dollars. We already know that, right? I was in the military. Trust me, I saw it firsthand. So did Joe. Okay, anybody, you could see it the way they just spend money on anything nowadays, right? The friggin' debt is through the roof. They want to raise the debt ceiling. Oh, just raise it. That won't be a problem. Yeah, it's like you max out your credit card and you call the bank and say, hey, I can't afford the shit that I have now on my credit card. Can you give me another 10 grand? Because I have to go out and buy more useless shit that I don't need. How about we stop buying bombs and rockets and fucking bullets and blowing up everybody else's children in their backyard, and instead took that money and spent it on healthcare? Then sure, maybe that's not a socialist belief. That's just someone saying don't waste the fucking tax dollars and spend it wisely. Okay, that's what I'm saying, because the healthcare system is fucked up. Okay, look what Angie goes through, Joe. Look what Tina went through, right? And has been going through. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, dude. It took them 8 years to figure out she had a broken neck, and the only reason why they figured it out is because she saw a story on the Daily Mail and got in touch with the lady in the story who gave her the information for a doctor in Spain.
Yep.
A doctor in Spain. The neurosurgeon in Spain understood the condition that she has, right? He goes and he says to her, look, send us the information and I'll diagnose you for free. What? I mean, that's a big deal, right? This guy, neurosurgeon here would have cost probably, $1,000 for a visit. This guy says, and they would have blown her off and not known what the hell was going on. This guy, she sends all the information. Him and his nurse take a couple days. He diagnoses her, says, there's only a couple surgeons I know of in the world that deal with the condition. Well, luckily, one of them happens to be in Tampa, Florida. And we currently reside in Florida. So we drove all the way over to Tampa and met the surgeon, and they did a bunch of tests, like something that's called a digital motion X-ray, which most people have probably never heard of. So I'm glad we could talk about this on this broadcast, because you have so many listeners, Kev. A DMX is a moving X-ray. So it's a low-level radiation X-ray, but it does about 30,000 of them. So instead of one high-powered image, it's low-powered, and it takes more images. And they have you move. So the computer puts it together and makes a video, and you actually see you moving,
there's a camera, so you see you in real time moving, and as you're moving, you see the skeleton moving too. And in her case, you could see that her neck was broken, and her skull was popping up off of her neck, off the spine, when she would turn her head sideways. You couldn't see that
serious.
X-ray or an MRI. And every time she would get an X-ray, they'd be like, "You're fine." But she'd turn her head and she'd pass out. And they, "Oh, you're faking it." I mean, they didn't give a shit. They were cruel to her. I had to yell at doctors in hallways and shit. It was ridiculous. So when she had this DMX, the doctor, within 10 minutes, he's like, "You have a broken neck." He's like, there's 2 fractures in your neck, and it's coming off, and you have 2 tears. It was either 2 or 3 of I think it's 2 of the ligaments that hold your skull and everything is also held on by a bunch of ligaments, and 2 of them are torn. One of them's partially torn, and the other one I think is completely torn. So she has to be careful the way she moves her neck and everything else, and she has to build the muscles back up to compensate, but that still it's permanently disabling. So she's dealing with this, and an X-ray and a regular MRI, it's not gonna see this. So she also had what's called an upright phonar MRI, which it takes pictures of her in different positions, and then it puts it together, and it shows her moving, and it shows what happens when she moves, and that's how they found out that she needed brain decompression surgery as well. So they missed this. I mean, we went to the Mayo Clinic. Right? Oh, the Mayo Clinic, so amazing. Woo, woo. No, they suck. Their doctors are rude, arrogant fucktards. Okay? And that's not a smear. That's a legit criticism. Okay? They are rude. Absolutely rude. I mean, they don't want to they're the Mayo Clinic after all. How dare you, a mere civilian, come in here, peon? You ask for medical advice and I tell you something and you don't like it? I'm from the Mayo Clinic. I mean, that's the attitude they had, and they missed it. These geniuses of medicine absolutely missed it. So, well done. Here's your golf clap, jerk-offs.
Don't talk to me about golf, dude. Golf is golf clap.
Her dentist,
golf,
right? Her dentist found it.
No, it was the doctor in Spain diagnosed her, and then they found the chiropractor that invented the DMX machine. His name is Dr. John Pastelwaith. He's out in Tampa, Florida. Him and another guy. The guy that invented the technology, if he never invented the DMX technology, she never would have gotten DMX'd. And the thing is, you ask somebody what a DMX. Now, I've witnessed it. I've seen the technology. I've seen it work. I've witnessed it. I was standing in the booth while the guy did use this special machine to do this. And there's only, they're not all over the place. They're not all over the place. Unfortunately, I mean, they're not really super expensive, but they're marketed to certain doctors. But hospitals and stuff, when I ask them how come there's not, why are these amazing machines? I mean, look, I know I'm against high levels of radiation, but in the case where you can't find what's going on with somebody, and rather than put you through 20 or 30 CAT scans, you could have something like this done, or maybe more people should know about the MRI, where it actually gets images of you moving, so they can see. Most people just think MRI, you go in the tube, done, and that's it, and that's usually the standard thing that they do. No, and nobody knows about this because A, insurance companies don't want to pay for it, and B, honestly, the system isn't there to make you better, right? Otherwise, you'd have a DMX machine in every hospital, right? Because they'd be able to diagnose the issue. If this guy's got a video, the guy who invented the machine, go just look up DMX, go on YouTube and look up New Best X-Ray or DMX or John Pastelwaith. I actually put it up on one of the Federal Jack channels. I copied it and put it up because I was so amazed at this guy's the technology. And again, how the two of us are about radiation, and here I am saying, look, because this is an actual technology that saved her. This is something that was, and why is it not readily available to the public? Because newsflash, they don't give a shit about you. Otherwise, they wouldn't spend money on fucking planes that they give to Japan and then lose, right? Whoops, we lost a brand new $20 bazillion plane. how much of that was given from the U.S. government to Japan for that fucking jet that they just lost? How much of that money in one of these weapons of death could have been invested in healthcare in this country? It's
a lot.
It's fucking bullshit. Don't even. I want to rage out, dude.
Of course, dude. I mean, it's the way that people don't look at it that way, and it's always what it always boils down to two things: safety, and then we can boil it down even more. The safety of the children. So you've got that, and God forbid, if we don't have those planes over in Japan, Popeye, then the children are going to suffer for it over here in America when those terrorists come and get us. So you got to save the children.
It's stupid because they spend, like I said, a lot of money on weapons of death. But this simple technology that's not that expensive compared to some of the other bullshit that they pack into the hospital.
They were probably doing some kabuki theater on the plane or something like that when they crashed.
Well, here's the deal. The technology isn't built by the same companies that build weapons of mass destruction or nuclear bombs. Whereas all the other technology in the hospital that you get X-rayed with or MRI'd with is. I mean, maybe the upright phonar MRI is built by Siemens or something. But the technology that the DMX is not. It's not built by, it's something that actually could be used to diagnose patients that need treatment and help better someone's life. They're going to put you through a battery of tests anyway. It's better maybe if they only had to put you through this thing and they said, oh, wow, yeah, this person's suffering. Joe, in Angie's case, right, I told you guys, to go look into this technology for her, right? Because I said, look, maybe they'll be able to see what's going on in there. It's amazing. Because wouldn't you rather know what's going on mechanically? Maybe they could see it better and go, oh, actually, maybe we might be able to fix this. And they can do that. You watched the video. I sent it to you. It was case after case. You see like his clients moving, the one guy's shoulder just pops right out. Right. You would never see that in a regular X-ray.
No, that's the hardest part of it all is because you take these things stationary, so you don't get the complete picture. Sports medicine's a very, very hard thing to really do and grasp the symptom, all the symptoms, because you're not seeing it. A lot of times you have to actually see it in motion. And like you say, it's very, very difficult to do that. So that's great that they have a technology now that's able to do that. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's out of their price range. See, like over in the UK, of course, you've got NHS. Up in Canada, you've got the Canadian socialized healthcare system. And say what you will, but when you go there, the cost of care doesn't really enter the equation so much. Whereas down here now, insurance, even some of the best plans now have basically high deductibles that everything is 100% out of pocket until you hit that threshold, that point, so, and for a lot of people, they can't afford that because you're already paying $600, $800 a month in premiums. And then on top of that, now I got to pay $1,500 out of pocket before you might cover 70% of it. Are you kidding me?
If you want your plan, you can keep it, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you want your plan, you can keep it. But then, no, you can't keep it. And by the way, here's your medical coverage. And it's, you don't, dude, trust me, I know. You try to get medical coverage, and it's like, well, what happens if, the person's unemployed and they can't get medical coverage, right? Then what? Oh, well, they could get Medicaid. But if Medicaid, if they're in the middle of dealing with like a disability case and the person gets denied, then what happens? Well, Medicaid automatically does. Medicaid gets turned off automatically.
Right. Because you dealt with that too.
In 2008, they decided that as the Bush administration was getting out, one of the last things he signed into law was a change to the Medicaid program that said that if a person was applying for disability, because disability denies like 90% of people. So if someone's applying for disability, right, and they get denied, which is going to happen, most likely, unless you're like stage 4 cancer. They get, they'll deny you initially. So you apply for the person applies for the disability, they get denied. If they're on Medicaid because they're legit disabled, and because you have to prove, they don't just give you. I know when they expanded Medicaid when Obama was the president, there was a lot of people that were on it that it was I guess a little easier, so to speak, to get on it. But you have to it's not as easy as people would think, and you have to be able to prove that you make under a certain amount of income or don't have any income and or disabled to qualify for it. And they make you have to go through the system and the rigmarole in the state that you live in to prove that you're qualified. So then you do, and it's months. You get it, and then while you're, the person's waiting for their being able to see the doctor, maybe finally starting to get things, and get some things taken care of, and Social Security goes, "Oh, you're denied." You know what happens? Medicaid now, back in the day, you could still, if you were appealing it or whatever, there was a process, and it really depended on the state, if they were, and a case-by-case basis, whether or not you could keep your Medicaid. There would, it would get reviewed, your case would get reviewed or whatever. And if you could prove that you were still disabled and you were appealing this decision by Social Security, you could keep your Medicaid. Well, not anymore. Now Medicaid says if you lose if Social Security denies your case for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reason could be, because it was a Tuesday and the guy was angry with his life, whatever, so he just decided to send. Doesn't matter. Any bureaucratic reason, anything that they said, they automatically turn your Medicaid off. So if you're in the middle of seeing doctors for your health care, okay, say someone has cancer and they're seeing a doctor and they're dealing with this problem and they're being denied, which this happens, right? This is not a hypothetical. This is a real world. So someone has cancer, they're being seen by the doctor, they're not being taken care of properly, or they're being seen by the doctor, but they're being taken care of properly finally after not being taken care of, and they're maybe getting things under control to a certain degree, and suddenly all of that is taken away from them. All of that. Or picture the person has epilepsy, or picture the person has what Ange has, or picture the person has what Christina has, or picture the person has what you have, right? But you're here in America. They instantly just turn your health care off. And when you go and talk to these people, and there are people that work in these departments that they want to help, and you try to speak to them, and they're generally, some of them are nice, some of them are shitbags, some of them want to help, but their hands are tied because no matter how many times they try to get it turned back on for you because of this change in the law, you're automatically denied. So now you have zero health insurance while you have an active ongoing problem and you were seeing a doctor for. And then when you ask them when you say, well, what are the options? They go, well, you can get Obamacare. And it's yeah, but even the lowest plan, like you said, you're still, the less you pay in, the more you have to pay out of pocket first. So you'll have a $20,000 deductible. And it's well, why don't I just pay cash for everything? That doesn't make any sense. Why am I even paying you any money? It's a scam. That's why. It's bullshit. They don't care. They just want to make money. The health insurance companies are the scumbags that wrote Obamacare and all the laws therein. And that's who all them and their lawyer friend assholes are the ones that either lobbied Congress or are congressmen or senators themselves. Everything got slammed in there that they wanted. That thing wasn't passed to help people. Okay. I have witnessed personally with my own eyes, people I love and care about, friends, and just, people you could see around you that are going through the system themselves. Just being mistreated and shit on. And it is absolutely
Popeye,
fucking.
I was thinking about that. I said to Joe the other day, I had to go for a crazy test where they put some radioactive isotope into me so they could check my lungs out. And it was half an hour or so in an MRI thing. But when I was walking out, they're like, now remember, you can't go near pregnant women for 24 hours because you're slightly radioactive.
Slightly to the point where you can't go around a pregnant woman.
And
that's not slightly.
That's not slightly, no. And I was saying to Joe, imagine if that was in the US. I'd be scuppered. I wouldn't be able to do that, I mean, I've gone through, 2 years since the heart attack of constant medical treatment. I just could not do it.
It would bankrupt you, Kev.
Yeah.
And that's one person, right? One person.
Yeah.
That's what's so troubling, is that it's destroying people's lives, and then by proxy, it's destroying the whole family's lives. You just don't really see it, that way. But that's actually what happens, because, like in our case, the medical system, even though there's safe and effective ways to treat my wife, she can't get it because of the terrorism and the racketeering and the bullshit going on between the docs and the government. The government, of course, basically threatening the doctors with destroying their lives if they don't toe the line. And so what ends up happening is it economically bankrupts you, and then kids lose their mothers, and husbands loses their wives, things like that, because they can't be the people that they were or want to be because of that limitation. And it's destroying millions of people's lives and families. The collateral damage is just unheard of. It's unspeakable. And ironically enough, it also violates over half of the UN Human Rights Charter. And that's what really, really chaps my hide, is like, like you, Scotty, there is ways to help improve your quality of life that's out there. And it's being deliberately withheld from you simply because of money or greed, but certainly not because there's no way to help you,
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that we have to do on our own, spend out of our own pocket,
Right.
Just for things to make me comfortable, like seat cushions and stuff
Just like
like
a simple
that.
seat cushion. People don't know how expensive those can be.
Yeah, we finally got one, and then, after a period of time, it breaks down, and so instead of going through all of the bullshit to get a new seat, we have kind of a stockpile, basically a boneyard of like old seat cushions and foam and stuff that we kind of keep on hand in case we have to basically make one ourselves and stuff like that. So it's crazy,
It is. It's alarming, and it's not getting any better. It's going to get a lot worse. So when people ask me, what would I like to see? I mean, if I had to choose, I most certainly would pay up front, because first of all, they would take your deductibles or your out of pocket. Your
Joe,
premium,
would you not rather have it like us?
There, right?
Would you not rather have it like us?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I would, if I had to choose, I most certainly would.
Yeah.
But that's my personal situation. And the thing is that it's not the same for everybody.
No.
And to some people, they might be able to handle it, or they don't have a family member that's suffering. You know what I mean? So there's that to consider too. So that's what makes this so controversial and so difficult.
I think the problem is, Joe.
They could have run it like the post office used to be run. And I know everybody's going to say, wait, the post office, Popeye, they run like shit. They lose money. No, actually, they don't. The only reason why they have a problem with funds is because when Bush was in office, another thing that he passed and wrote and put into power. So you have to go back into the past to understand what's going on today. They made the post office fund benefits for employees 75 years into the future.
Yeah, right.
I'm not
kidding. Yeah.
And because the post office was always had money. They were self-sufficient. They didn't have any problems. And that, you can't have that, especially at the time that this was around I think it was like around 2007, 2008, when they were doing the banker bailouts and they were robbing everybody. Okay. And what did they do? They passed this law that said that the post office had to fund benefits for future employees 75 years into the future, for people that weren't even born yet. Okay. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Can't have any excess money for anything else. So that's why the post office has problems with funding now. It's got nothing to do with, mismanagement and the post office sucks. No, because a lot of things got rewritten because of it. The pension funds and all that stuff got changed, and to a certain, I would say it's robbery.
But also the transition from from what mail used to be to now a lot of things going electronically. Like people don't mail in their bills anymore. So, they've seen a big drop in income as well.
Well, to a degree, but then they also make up for it. They make up for the money with things like, Amazon or other doing deliveries for eBay and things like that. That's why they love, the post office, loves Cyber, Tuesday or Friday or whatever it is, right? And they love that. They don't mind having online transactions and stuff. But
Very
what I'm saying is, if they were going to run a program as like a socialist type, medical benefits type program, then at least run it to the efficiency that the post office used to be run, where it was self-sufficient somehow. And if it runs off taxes, then that's fine, but you got to take it from somewhere else, right? Because they're gonna either have to raise taxes, or I don't like taxes. I think taxation is theft.
It's bullshit.
But they're stealing your money anyway. So how about the only way I'm cool with it is if you take that money from war, because we shouldn't be in people's backyards. And if we leave this country, we'll be less safe. People, we're not well liked there. Yeah, we're not well liked there because we blew up weddings.
That's right.
Assholes.
That's right.
You killed fucking kids, you dickheads. So yeah, we're not well liked. It's all your fucking fault. You and your drone strikes, and Obama and the war machine.
Popeye.
Like it's not the people's fault. I mean, it's to a degree, I guess.
Popeye, your better half, Rad Chick, and definitely your better half is in the chat room. Far better looking, better intelligence, better laugh. She's in there, and she says, "Tell them how I was treated at the hospital 3 days ago, dude. What happened then?"
Oh, well, first of all, I don't know what the problem is with people that work at hospitals and not being able to find a vein. But
dude, it's awful, isn't it? Isn't it? If you have to get blood drawn,
and
you're a fucking pincushion.
When she's at the hospital, she's very sensitive as it is, and then if she's going through an attack. Or ataxia, as they call it, she gets very sensitive. Her nerves are like uber sensitive, so it's very painful. And they basically they have people that the one lady came in and put an IV. She had to get an IV twice because we went in and she was there, and while we were there, she had a seizure. So they already had an IV in her, and then they weren't going to keep her, and they had taken it out. And then they put a second IV in her. And when they put the second IV in her, it was fine. But the first one, it was like the girl was trying to dig for gold. And she couldn't find a vein. And this isn't the first time that kind of stuff has happened. And then we live in Florida. It's spring. And, you're out in the yard. And you guys know we're getting ready we're in the midst of moving, right?
Yeah.
So you're out in the yard cleaning and whatever. She's got bug bites on her and mosquito bites. And they were looking at her, and you could see they were looking at her arms and trying to determine whether or not she was a drug addict at first. And they could see that it was bug bites. And then they were, you could see the attitude changed. And I understand that there's a necessity to do that. But I've noticed that they go to you're guilty first, and then
every single fucking time.
So then, and they treated her like she was. And she didn't even ask for any pain medication or anything, but you could see that they kind of treated her like, and they knew that she doesn't have insurance. Okay. As we've talked about, she talked about this on air. They turned her, her Medicaid off. So she's one of the people I've witnessed go from having at least some insurance to be able to see doctors because they turn it off in the middle of her seeing a neurosurgeon. Well done. Well done, Medicaid, you fucking heartless pricks. And when you talk to these people on the phone, they're like, well, there's really nothing I can do. And it's like, how do you people sleep at night? The I'm just following order shit wasn't okay at the Nuremberg trials. And what you're doing, it's slow genocide. And it's torturous to the person that's going through it and then their family. And it makes me rage out, dude. You want to scream at these people. So, I mean, the doctors they did took care of they took care of the issue, but they were very quick to get her out of there because she was a cash customer.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Because if she was paying, if she had like super duper like Blue Cross or what or
No
any
problem.
other, bro, they would have like I call it the red carpet insurance because I've seen it. Like they would have like literally brought like lobster. Right, ma'am. Can you just come here? I'll bring you a silver tray. This bib on. We'll bring you lobster with butter and shit on it.
Right.
They don't care. And she had a seizure, and the privacy door was closed.
So she had one there.
Yeah, we were in the ER. And
So she's really faking it then, right? I mean, she's having a fucking seizure in the ER, you know?
They didn't witness the whole seizure. What had happened was they witnessed like her being postictal and all jammed up and me sitting with her. Because what happened was she was getting dressed and out of the hospital gown. And I closed the door to give her some privacy. And I'm standing with my back to the door and I'm watching her from like 10 feet away. And she had a seizure and she fell face down into the bed. And I ran over to her and grabbed her and I wrapped my arms around her and sat down and held her so that she wouldn't hit her head or anything else. And I didn't want her to lay on the dirty hospital floor. So I was keeping her up. That way she doesn't swallow her tongue. I know the whole routine. And
Look at that. You got this down.
Oh, I've been through this. I know I know how to deal with it. So I get her under control. Once she's okay somewhat, I sit her up and I lean her on the bed and I got up and I opened the door and I said, and as I'm doing it, the nurse is coming down the hallway. I said, yo, she just had a seizure. I need you guys in here. So they all come in and we're trying to get her up. And the paramedic is trying to get me to get out from behind her so he can get her. And he's like, I'm just going to grab her. And I said, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. And I wouldn't get out of the way. And I was like, I'll pick her up. And Tina didn't, you could like, she's kind of like postictal and she's all out of it. And she wanted to, she wouldn't, she's like, you. And I'm like, I know. And I would not let him anywhere. I don't care. It's great. You're a firefighter and a paramedic. That's well done.
You have to be their advocate. And that's the thing is that you can't, in the medical system now, you can't go at it alone. You have to be, if you're suffering from something, especially if you're a woman, you have to have a male with you that can help push the issue because they totally don't respect women at all.
And here's the thing. They don't understand her condition, right? So like I've had this happen before. She had an attack one time when she was still in a wheelchair before she had surgery and we were waiting to see the surgery. You know, we were trying to get all the stuff done for her to have surgery. And she had an attack at the primary care doctor and the girl behind the counter hit the panic button and like 10 people descended upon her and she can't have that. It makes the condition worse because her brain herniates. So you can't, it jacks her. I mean, it's her brain being all jacked up and her brain stuff. You can't be dicking around with that. And it plays with the way she thinks. She's slurring words. Like it looks like she's having a stroke, but I know what's going on. And at this point, we already knew what was up, and we're trying to, we're in the midst of trying to get everything done and jump through the hoops for surgery. And they rush her. Dude, I had to stand and put my arms out and be like, back off. Like, everybody hold up. Like, I didn't yell and scream, but I was like, everybody needs to, like, bring it down a notch. Calm down. You can't come on her like that. I know you want to.
Wait a minute, Popeye. Wait a minute. I keep forgetting that we're simulcasting here. So I want to give a big shout out to Riverwind Radio over there, who donated 1 lemon. I was having a laugh.
Nice. What's a lemon?
That's what I was saying today as well. What the hell's a lemon?
What's a lemon?
It's a lino. It's a lino. Yeah. It's one of the cryptocurrencies. So
right, but I mean, is a lemon different than what else do they have over there?
Well,
I can't remember.
They have an ice cream which is worth 10. They have a diamond which is worth 100. They have a Ninjagini which is worth 1,000, and a Ninjet which is worth 10,000.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Hey, Riverwind Radio on D Live. Thanks for the lemon. He says he's a longtime fan of the Kev Baker Show. So
nice.
Awesome.
I just want to give our people on D Live a little bit of love.
Fantastic.
Awesome stuff. No, awesome stuff. And the chat room, I often sit here in awe when I'm hearing you guys talking about the way things are in America because it just is so alien to me. And Nancy was saying up in Canada, she's delighted with the way the healthcare works up there. Yeah. High taxes and things, right? But I hear so many times people criticising the NHS over here. And I've said to you before, every hospital, every trust, it's a case-by-case basis.
Right.
But I tell you what, Joe, Scott, Popeye, everyone out there, I cannot speak highly enough of the care I got with the NHS. I really can't. You know what I mean?
It's a personal experience. I mean, it's going to be what you make of it, basically. And it's how you push, because you're going to have to. You got to push any time. You know, this is the problem, I think, systemically with society, is the fact that everybody expects easy street, no fight, no. And if you do, well, then, they're discriminating against me. They're doing this, they're doing that. Look it. If it's not hard, then something's wrong. It just is. If you're going up against something and you're not getting friction or pushback, it's something's wrong. Life is not easy.
No,
it's not easy, you know, and that's the thing is, it's constantly pushed and shoved down our throat. You know, well, I'm offended by this. I need a safe space. It's crazy. This craziness. You have to fight for yourself. You have to fight for the people that you care for. You have to do it. That's why we do this crazy shit on the weekends when we could be spending it with our families, and we all would like to do that. But we talk about these issues and get conversations, or try to get conversations started to get more people involved and just coherent about what's going on. It's so pivotal that you know, and that you share your experiences. Get talking, start a website, start a blog, do a live stream, do all that kind of stuff. I mean, these are things that have to happen.
You want to hear something crazy, Joe?
Do it.
The Hoyer lift that I use, to lift me up and move me around. It's the same Hoyer lift that I've been using since I was probably around 10 years old.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
Yeah. And, I don't even know what kind of bullshit I'm going to have to go through to get a new one, a state-of-the-art new one. But it's one of them old Hoyer lifts. You crank it with a hand crank, a hydraulic Hoyer lift.
So what's the problem with it?
Nothing really. I mean, we've kept it maintained. We've kept the fluid and stuff in it good. But, at some point, you're it's going to have to.
Here's the thing, dude. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And the only thing you really can do with the hydraulic system.
And you got to think, maybe it is good that I just keep this older one, because a lot of those simpler designs don't fail as easy as.
That's what I'm saying, Scotty. And even better, right? Even better. The only thing you're really worried about there is, like you say, make sure your fluid's maintained and seals. That's it. Outside of that, you maintain those things, you're good, dude.
Yeah, my dad has maintained. He put a new seal in there, put some new fluid in there, and boom, we're good to go. So
you're good. I don't know, man. It's like one of those things is, anytime the very rare occasion that I buy a car. See, I'm not like Moneybags Popeye down there, with the new car and stuff.
Oh my!
I have to. All my cars are at least 15 years old, and I always try to get the ones with the crank up windows. Why? Because they don't fail. They don't fail. The motors don't go. Things like that. So I don't want all the bells and whistles, because I have to maintain my car, myself. So that's just more work for me. I don't want that. If I had it like Popeye, man, I would get all the bells and whistles, be driving a Tesla and whatnot.
I know Colonic Symphonic in the chat asked, why do I need that? And
go ahead. Yeah, tell them, for all of you that don't know.
Yeah, for everybody out there who don't know, I am disabled and I have severe mobility issues. I'm bound to a wheelchair.
So tell them specifically, because I think, Scotty, this is just the fact that you do this and do it as much as you do with the energy that you have. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about you and the selflessness that you show doing this.
That's the kind of reason, Joe, why I say I don't complain about the situation I'm in. There's Scotty, doesn't make a minute moaning, and yet people who are, fully abled, they bitch about everything. They moan about everything. So, no, absolutely, Scotty, man.
If you want to pull up maybe a Wikipedia page or something on the condition I have, because it's kind of a wild, rare condition. It's called AMC, but it's an acronym for arthrogryposis multiplex congenia. It's a hell of a mouthful, but I've learned
it's a mouthful and a half.
Yeah, and you know, when I get a new doctor, half the time the doctors haven't even heard of it, and they usually have to go refer to their medical dictionaries and all kinds of crap to get a gauge of what I have. But basically, you're born with all of your joints are pretty much fused together, and it's a hell of a thing. You know, some people have it only in like two of their extremities, like either their arms or their legs. I got the lucky roll of the dice, and I have it in all four extremities. So, you know, lucky me. And you know, it's a hell of a thing. And you know, you suffer from chronic arthritis. Like I remember when I was in like I don't know, middle school or something, the doctor said I had like the arthritis of like a 70 or 80-year-old.
Yeah. And so everybody knows. He can't use any limbs. He's quadriplegic, right? There's no arms, and you've had one of your feet amputated too, right?
Yeah, because of circulation issues. You know, that's just one of the kind of side effects that happen. You know, being bound to a wheelchair, you have to deal with a whole bunch of secondary issues because of it. So, you know, yeah, it kind of is like being a quadriplegic in a way.
Right.
You know,
in a way, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I have feeling and stuff in my legs and all that,
right.
But you know, I'm pretty much dependent on somebody to help me with everything. You know,
right.
Cooking and all that stuff. So
you know, it's just a testament. I mean, I got to be honest with you, man. It's just I'm always taken aback, and it was it's like Kev says, it's a rare disease, one that, I mean, would really take a lot of people out, and yet you choose to and thrive doing this kind of stuff. And I mean, it's just,
you don't, well, first of all, you don't feel sorry for yourself, and you don't have a pity party for yourself.
But that's what society is. That's what drives people these days, is these pity parties.
Yes, exactly. And you know, I got to give a lot of props to my mom for not raising me like super sheltered. You know what I mean? A lot of people like who have disabilities, or parents who have children with disabilities, they tend to shelter them.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that they don't gain a lot of the social skills needed, and they just end up kind of living in a bubble. You know, my mom never treated me any different than anyone else. Right. You know, so if I had my electric wheelchair or whatever, she's like, go out with your friends, go do whatever, cut me loose, you know, and didn't try to shelter me from things. And so, you know, I give her a lot of props for that, for that kind of stuff. So,
well, yeah, I give them props, Kev, for just, you know, raising Scotty to be, and his siblings, the way they are. I mean, it's a testament to their parenting and their dedication, you know, to their children.
Nah, big time. And a lot of people in the chat room, Scott, you're probably reading it. They're saying you're an inspiration. I absolutely share that opinion as well, dude. That's why you never hear me complaining about anything. You know, I've always said there's people worse off than me. But you're absolutely the epitome of somebody that just gets on with it. Just gets on with it, dude.
You have to, because if you stay negative about this kind of stuff, it makes everything worse. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
it becomes the snowball. Like if I was to sit around and mope and feel bad about my position and all of this stuff, it's not going to help.
Right. No doubt.
It doesn't help in any way. So, you know, you also got to have a good sense of humor, right? Like, I crack jokes all the time about being.
Say it ain't so. Well, I've got something to stoke that sense of humor of yours. Do you mind? Do you mind if I get it going here? Because I'm going.
Which one are we going to, Joe?
Hey, before you go, I got a really funny joke that I heard today, actually.
All right, come on, Shecky Lopez. You got it.
I broke up with my girlfriend, and I threw away her wheelchair. Guess who came crawling back?
I don't know. Guess who came? Oh. That's awful. Boo.
I'll tell you one dude that isn't going to come crawling back, Joe.
He ain't crawling back. Whoa, boy. So you know how we talk about over in the UK, you've got a lot of smart cities over there. Glasgow being
we've got one smart city, dude.
Well, it bleeds over into Britain, apparently. So anyway, apparently the Metro is reporting that a man paid a flatmate £170 to cut off his penis in a drunken bid to go viral.
Ooh.
What the freaking hell is going on in the world, my friends? It says here, a British man apparently paid his flatmate €200, 170 pounds, to cut his penis off and promised him more if footage of the amputation went viral. The 33-year-old English teacher was seen bleeding heavily in the northern Spanish city of Zaragoza last month. Oh, it's in Spain. So he was on like holiday. His mutilated penis was discovered in a bag at his home after officers reportedly followed the trail of blood to his flat. According to local reports, an operation to reattach the man's penis had been successful. Oof. His flatmate was detained by police, but the expat reportedly did not want to press charges and waived his right to compensation before flying back to Britain.
I love how they follow the trail of blood. For some reason, I'm picturing one of these detectives with like a magnifying glass, just like following the trail of blood.
Bit of Sherlock Holmes on the go, Scotty boy, you know, Sherlock and Watson. But come on, you talk about red pill to pay the bills. Uni's kind of tag for people that are shilling for clicks and cash. Shilling for clicks and cash is one thing, but cutting off your Johnson?
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm like cringing right now. Anyway, it says here it emerged that this week that he offered the Spaniard money to carry out the stunt. The unnamed Brit planned to film the amputation and share it online and would pay his flatmate more money if it proved to be a hit. It's believed he promised between €2,500 and €5,000, depending on the number of hits. The footage is said to have been erased, although it was not made clear if it was done before or after it went online. The pair reportedly drank 4 bottles of wine and took Valium to muster up the courage before going through with the amputation.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude. What is wrong with people?
There was
If you're
no
gonna
amount
cut off your
of
dick.
alcohol. Yeah, there's no amount of alcohol, no amount of pharmaceuticals.
Oh, I'm dying here.
Barring something that would like put me into an anesthetic coma that would get me to do something like that. That is fucking crazy.
I ain't doing.
That's not wise in that. That's not right. That's mentally ill. I don't care how many bottles of wine and how many Valium you've had. At no point does
$5,500.
At no point does cutting your nobody's going to cut your junk off for clicks, right? I mean, dear Lord.
And what a shit amount of money.
What a shit amount of money to cut your dick off. Like, okay, if I'm going to cut my dick off, I better not have a worry in the world for the rest of my life. And then how do you, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Somebody said Jussie Smollett might,
Jussie Smollett. Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Joe, did you actually finish this story, like the bottom part of this where?
No, I haven't even got there yet.
Oh, it gets worse.
Oh yeah. Hold on. So let's
This
see.
sounds like. Can I just point to history and just say this sounds like the downfall of the Roman Empire, because the closer it got to its peak, and then once it peaked and then it started to fall, the further it got into the depth of its fall, the more debaucherous shit got. I'm just saying. So the police initially said the expat had harmed himself, and we're not looking for anyone else in connection with the incident, but the case took a dramatic twist with the arrest of his flatmate on March 14th after a local paper claimed he'd used a social networking app to search for someone to film his amputating his penis. So the 29-year-old Spaniard is now being held in custody on suspicion of serious assault. He's expected to be formally charged following an ongoing probe despite his alleged victims refusing to press charges.
So now the
Holy
guy's
shit.
like royally screwed.
Oh, that is just well. He's not screwing anything, really, is he? No. He's having difficulty. This chap, if he's wanting to screw anything.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, what a idiot.
Isn't that really symptomatic of the times that we're living in? Like Popeye says, it's like a sign on the road.
River D Live said, "No more amputations, Scott. So don't get any ideas for 170 quid."
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Ooh,
That's bad juju, man. That's not right.
Juju indeed.
I mean,
wow.
I've been drunk.
I've been your dick story for the night. Are you good?
Super drunk before in the past, but I've never no danger, dude. No.
Mean, it's just it's awful. But this is what social media. This is that bad side, that dark side to it that we were talking about. We can always choose to focus on the dark, and that's really dark. But there's also a lot of good things about the technology that we do and we use. So I think it's always important to kind of show both sides, and we certainly showed that dark side tonight. Yes. Now we were talking earlier about healthcare. And I've got something else on that. And I think that this is also something that you're going to see happen a lot more in the country, especially as healthcare costs continue to skyrocket. New Jersey, according to Yahoo, just signed in a law allowing terminally ill patients to end their lives. So now if you're terminally ill, you're going to die anyway. You can actually request to be euthanized, which, what was it? A Brave New World, not Brave New World. Soylent Green. Remember Soylent Green? And they had like the euthanasia centers before they turned you into crackers. Yeah.
I'm just laughing because there's going to be a super chat comes on in a minute and it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I love it.
Oh, this is good. I'm waiting for it.
We gotta see this.
It's not $170, but I tell you what, man, anything to get you to shut up, Joe.
That's awesome.
It's coming. It's gonna come. It will come eventually. I promise it's coming.
You think it's coming?
Bet that guy doesn't say that too much very often, eh?
Where's it going?
There we go.
There we go. Is it gonna read it? Is it? Please read it.
Come on, for the win.
Hey. Here we go. No. Come on.
I didn't read it.
Now I'm really, really frustrated at that. Here you go, Joe. Here you go. Just stop Joe from talking about penis.
That's awesome. You got a little more work to do on that.
I know I can't sound that AI. I haven't got that AI voice down, dude. I'll need to.
So what do you guys think about an assisted suicide law?
This is interesting. It's one of those moral dilemma situations again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like so now we're talking about free will, and if you already know that you're gonna die, then shouldn't you have that choice? But then there's the whole slippery slope argument kind of with that whole thing too, because then it's kind of like you said, Joe, the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions. And so
I would almost want to call it like a death with dignity law. It's kind of like, let me die with dignity.
Hey, Kev, hold on. You got 3 lemons.
Whoa!
Damn.
We like lemons. I'm trying to find that story, Joe. Can you link me up to it again, dude?
Yeah. There's no graphics or anything.
No, it's just so I can show people, where we're getting it from.
Yep.
Thanks, man. But over on to D Live. Oh, Kristen, thank you very much. And we've got Princess Cubby following us as well. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Well, link me up, Joda.
I'm finding it. There we go.
And yeah, Joe, I think the thing with this is that if it's determined that you pretty much are going to die, you know that you're terminal and that there's no way that you're gonna be coming out of it, barring some kind of crazy miracle or something. But
Yeah.
that the writing is on the wall, then I think you should have that option. But if there's a chance to save you and it's not a whole terminal situation, I don't think that should be.
I just find it interesting, and
I think it should be left up to the patient. I think it's patient's choice, and I think people should respect what the patient wishes.
I agree.
They'll respect what the patient wishes. I mean, like you shouldn't. It shouldn't be like where it shouldn't be abused and misused. And I don't agree with eugenics or anything like that. All right. But I think if the patient is terminally ill and dying of cancer or something else, and why would you not want to end their suffering?
Right.
I mean, what I mean? Like you would do it for an animal. You don't just take an animal into the vet and say, "Hey, I don't want this cat anymore. Would you kill it?" The vet's going to be like, "No, we don't do that. We'll just take your cat and we'll find your cat a better home because obviously you're a shitty human being, right?" Well, the same thing goes. We could have the same rules with euthanasia for humans, where if it's the person is like my mom was dying of lung cancer, right? And I watched her the last 2 weeks of her life wither away very quickly, and she suffered. She was in a shit ton of pain. If there was a law that said that because of her condition, that if she chose to, that she wanted to, end her life very peacefully without suffering, then I would have been okay with that because I wouldn't have wanted her to suffer. Of course, I would be there holding her hand just like I was when she died anyway, but she wouldn't have had to suffer the way she did in pain. And she had lung cancer, and it had metastasized into her brain. So, if there was a law that humanely she could have left this earth without feeling pain, then, I don't have a problem with that. That's not eugenics. Eugenics is like, oh, you're not equal, you're not worthy, we should just wipe your whole race out, or we should wipe out your kind, or you're disabled, you should be wiped out, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's eugenics. But if someone wants, like Kevorkian, I don't honestly think Kevorkian was a criminal. He didn't go around murdering anybody. He was helping sick people end their suffering. They prosecuted the guy because it's controversial, but I don't think Jack Kevorkian. I mean, I don't think he was a psychopathic murderer.
Oh, I don't either.
Or nuance, way more nuanced than that. That might be a controversial thing to say, but I don't think people should be forced to suffer. I don't think that's different for. I don't think it should be willy-nilly, like someone's mentally ill and you're like, hey, you should just go try assisted suicide then if you don't want to be around anymore because you're suicidal. No, maybe that person needs help.
Yeah.
But I mean, if someone is sick and there's absolutely no help for them, they're dying and they're going to die, but it's going to take 2 months for them to die and it's going to be an agonizing, painful death. And they say, please, let me just have it. Please, let me die peacefully. Why not give them that? Why not grant them that? That's humane. That I don't have an issue with.
Well, that's what Billy Joe, good friend
Right.
Billy, she's one of the mods, speak to her on Facebook and that as well. But she says, just like you guys have been saying here, watching someone that you love slowly die is a nightmare for them and the ones watching it happen. And, I'm all for free will and things like that. And you brought up a good point there, Popeye, about anyone that might be mentally unstable, mentally unwell. But again, free will, it might not be for people out there listening. You might think it's absolutely a heinous idea. I know some people are really, they think suicide's pretty much a no-no. But again, it's free will, isn't it? And I do think it should be offered to people like in these situations we're talking about here,
Yeah. I think that if they can do something right, that they should be able to do everything they can to make that person better. You know what I mean? Like if there's a chance of survival, then you do everything possible to try and do that. But if there's nothing that they can do, and then people should have that option.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't think suicide is the option for everything or anything. I think that people should try to embrace life as best they can, and I think life is worth living. I don't, I think suicide is not a good option really ever. But in that case, if someone's dying already, why are you going to make them suffer? And I also would like to stress that we shouldn't judge people that do commit suicide or think about it or have those thoughts, because you shouldn't put, until you've walked a mile, like the Native Americans used to say, don't judge a man until you've walked a mile in his moccasins.
But even so, you'll never understand the way that person processed all the life experience and everything else.
Right, you're not them, so don't judge them. First, how about we stop judging everybody and each other? That's the first step. That would actually do a lot of good for people and help the world be a better place. Is if everybody would just stop judging each other based off of bullshit and then labeling each other. Oh, you're a this. Oh, you're a that.
Oh, it's awful.
You know who benefits from labels? Not us. You know who benefits from labels? The people that run things and pull the levers of power behind the scenes. I know. That doesn't exist. Conspiracies no longer exist. It's faux pas to say that now. now you can't say that.
Yeah, we'll be on a watch list now, Popeye. We will. But talking
of conspiracies, one of my videos from 2013 just got flagged, dude, on YouTube. It says that they sent me an email telling me a warning is going to pop up. Telling people, basically your video, blah blah blah, it's fake news or whatever. You know what it was? It was me debunking Rachel Maddow. It was one of my episodes where I took her to the woodshed, and I did things logically. I didn't just yell and scream, So I took her, and I can remember the show vaguely, and I know that there was a bunch of stuff. I rolled out like a ton of audio clips. I covered different things, and I exposed that she was full of shit. And I, went over the word conspiracies and everything else, and what she's doing, and I broke it down very logically and soundly. They blocked that video. Or they're letting it, well, it's blocked, but they're letting it play, quote unquote, but it's not going to show up so easily. And when it does show up, it's going to have a warning on it. Warning of what?
That's what they do all the time now.
Bullshit?
If you watch anything on the moon landings, if you can find anything in the search that's to do with the moon hoax, it's going to tell you, by the way, here's a wiki page where you can go and find out all about the real moon landing. Right. And like I say, if you can find it, because you even type in, fake moon landing, hoax moon landing, and what you're going to get, I'll show it's like that authoritative search, right? You just get CNN, you just get the mainstream, that's all you get. And if you can find one of those conspiracy ones, like I say, you're going to get the little warning, please be aware that you're being fed a pile of conspiracy right now. And
you remember, somebody said to me the other day, and I don't know, I don't know if this is true or not. I haven't been able to see this yet. And I think I saw a headline somewhat alluding to this, but I'm not sure. Somebody said that the creator of Loose Change, which, by the way, there was 3 people behind that movie. Okay. And I know Jason Bermas, at least one of them hasn't, gone against 9/11 truth. And I know the other one had some legal troubles, and then the other one wanted to be, Hollywood famous and go mainstream. And maybe he was the one that is the one that said this. I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody said that, the guy that made Loose Change took back everything he said, and he said he doesn't think that he was wrong and that it's all conspiracy stuff and theory stuff, and none of that is real. And I'm like, how could you say that? There's possibly, I don't know if he actually said that, but if he actually said that, and I can't remember where I saw this thread. It was on a message board somewhere.
Was it QAnon? Did Q say it?
No, it wasn't Q. Definitely not. I don't go to Q message boards. But the point is, I don't, for somebody to check out and say that about that now, and there's a lot of people that are like, Jones, there's video of him, testimony with his wife and his, the bullshit with his wife and his kid and everything, and where they're trying to take his custody or whatever.
I was just saying that. I was just saying that to get my ass out of hot water there, Popeye. Come on.
He said he had psychosis and that he doesn't think everything's a conspiracy. And it was like, wait a minute, bro.
Popeye, do you honestly think I have psychosis? Come on.
Right. So now they have ammo. So now when you bring something up, they go, look, it's a psychosis. Even this guy who is the king of them says, no. First of all, Alex Jones isn't the king of anything. And second of all, the term conspiracy is a legal definition. People get fucking charged with it all the time in court. All the time, from petty crimes all the way up to like conspiracy to like rob fucking bank or defraud people or whatever else. So conspiracies exist. Now, to think that a conspiracy could exist at a low level where a bunch of low level thieves and scumbags have the ability to get together and the cunning to get together to pull off crimes, but the very same thinking and level of thinking doesn't happen at the higher levels of power, because the higher levels of power somehow you shed all of badness and you become a saint? Really? Talking about a logical fallacy. That's the appeal to authority. Like suddenly, because they're authoritative figures, they're angels. Get the fuck out of here! Come on.
Drinking game. Ding. Logical fallacy.
Ding, 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 ding. Here we go.
Have a drink on Popeye. You see, for any new listeners out there, this used to be the fun drinking game. Anytime Popeye says logical fallacy, ding, drink time.
It's been a while, but man, the reflex was right there.
Absolutely. We're both done at the same time. But, talking conspiracies, I had you on my show, Popeye, for, I think it's one of the most interesting things. You talk about a lot of interesting stuff, dude. But Joe sent me a story today, and it just made me think of you, because it's all about the Titanic. And this this is a heap of crap, this actual story, because it's coming from the Express. We know how I love the Express. But it says, was the Titanic cursed? How ship survivor blamed unlucky Egyptian mummy for the sinking. Now, that's kind of cool, but the cooler conspiracy with the Titanic is what Popeye knows about, right?
Oh yeah. Unleash the Popeye on the Titanic.
There's a lot to that. There's a
heck of a lot
story. You have to. Okay, I did probably 4 or 5 years worth of episodes on this. Easily, I'll just sum it up to this: you have to go to and listen to my shows and download them and listen to them in full detail. But imagine that the Titanic wasn't the Titanic. Imagine that it was another ship and that they swapped the name tags and everything on them in order because the ship was uninsurable due to a previous accident. And in getting rid of the ship, it served the multi-purpose of not only getting rid of the ship and getting an insurance claim on it, but it also killed off individuals that would be in your way of an agenda, which would be, interestingly enough, the Federal Reserve. And the people that were killed were some high-ranking rich elitists that would have stood in the way of the formation of the Federal Reserve. And they just so happened to be on board this ship, who just so happened to be owned by J.P. Morgan. And there's a lot of shady shit that happened. So there's a lot of controversy to it. The Titanic is not as cut and dry as it is put out there to be. And I researched it for a long time, and I remember I was one of the first people that did shows on it, and I got ridiculed about it. People were like, oh my God, what a tardish thing to talk about. And I was like, okay, but if you look at who was killed and why they would have done so, you have to ask yourself, why would they have killed them, right? Okay, well, let's look at why they would have been murdered. Because they would have stood in the way of the formation of the Federal Reserve. Oh, well, that's kind of a big deal, don't you think?
Yeah,
so many
coincidences. Yeah, so many coincidences. And, at what point do so many coincidences end up not being a coincidence?
What are they, coincidi?
Well, should I just ignore shit, or you know what I mean? Like, no, that's just let it go. It's cool.
Well, that's basically fine. What they want you to do. That's why they're doing all this censorship and everything else. They want you to ignore all of that stuff. They don't want you to get involved in it. That fake news that you peddle, Popeye. Come on. The Titanic. I saw the movie, okay? It didn't happen that way. I'm just saying. Okay? Rose and what's his name? Jack. Yeah, Jack. They got together and it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful. It was a love story. It has nothing to do with death and murder.
But the only problem is Rose never let go. Actually, she did let go. And by the way, let's just be straight. There was totally enough room for 2 people on that door. That was a total dick move on Rose's.
It was a total dick move. Yeah, that's right.
What did I miss? Come on, Joe, catch me up. Come on, what did I miss, man?
Oh, well, we were talking about the absolute historical accuracy.
The value. I saw the movie, Kev. I saw the movie. It didn't happen the way Popeye said it did. That's bullshit.
No, Popeye doesn't
Yeah,
cover the
then I
bit where
brought
she's
up
giving
the
it all
fact
that.
that just as a side note, that there was more than enough room for 2 people on the door, and that it was
Popeye,
kind of a dick move by Rose
that's some
to be like,
clickbait.
"Yeah, you hang out in the water. I'm chilly. I need the whole door to myself."
That's clickbait shit right there, Popeye. I don't like it.
Just saying.
I like the old story. Come on, iceberg, hit it, a total accident.
I mean, there's a lot to it, right? There's a lot of weirdness to it. Steve Stars and I, another radio show host from back in the day, old legend.
Yep.
We did shows on this, and we discussed this, and we talked about it, and we did a lot of research into it. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but it sounds weird and it sounds nuts, but there's a lot of things to it. There's a lot more to it, and they never do one thing just for one purpose, right? They always benefit. They being the illuminized elites, they do things for multiple reasons. And where else have I heard of a disaster that killed lots of people that was also kind of an insurance scam and also served to kill off certain people that could have stood in the way as well? People that might have uncovered plots or might have spoken their minds because they had issues in the past with being blocked by looking into bin Laden, who might have died in a building when there were bombs going off and it collapsed. Where have I heard this story? Where does this, something sounds familiar. Oh, 9/11.
Oh. Yeah, right, dude.
It's a pattern. It doesn't have to be the same players in the same place.
The playbook.
It's a pattern of events.
Changed much, huh?
It wasn't even the Titanic that sunk, right?
Well, yeah, they sunk. The Titanic sunk, but like, why did it sink? Why did it race?
Wasn't there like a thing about?
Why? There was also an explosion on board. They found a hole that was blown out, and there's really no explanation for that. They'll tell you. I mean, there was a boiler. There was a fire on board the ship. They knew that. So. But that was known. There's a lot of weird shit that happened with that ship that should not have happened. And what was
the ship they swapped the name with?
Yeah, that's what I'm on about, Scott. There was like the sister ship.
The Olympic.
There was the Olympic.
Yeah.
And then there was the Titanic.
It's the Olympic.
Right. It was the Olympic that they switched it with. So the Titanic was actually the Olympic, and the Olympic was the actual Titanic because the Olympic had been damaged in a accident that was involved, ironically, the same captain, Smith, who was in charge of the Titanic, was in charge of the Olympic, and he got into an accident with a British Navy vessel. And at the time, the ships back then, they used to ram each other. Naval warfare was like brutal. They used to ram shit. Nowadays, they just shoot each other. They lob cruise missiles, and people are scared of that shit.
You don't ever see your enemy anymore.
Right, you don't even see them. Back in the day, man, they used to ride right up and ram each other. That's how. I mean, they had guns and and some of the newer stuff in like World War I, but they still rammed each other.
And you still boarded the ship, just like I mean,
but was it a Russian iceberg?
It was a Russian iceberg that Edward Snowden had hacked into and was controlling from the inside.
I think it might have been, probably. If it was nowadays, it would have been part of the Mueller investigation, right? Everything gets pulled in now.
Putin time traveled, and he created an iceberg. Well, it looked like an iceberg. It had a command.
You see, what happened was Trump, right? And that's it. There's your reason. Because Trump. Because, he's the epitome of all evil. I just want to point out to the people that can't see through this bullshit, okay? He's just like Obama was, okay? Obama was a magnet. He was put up like he was a saint, and the left ate that up. But the people that didn't like him, there was fierce vitriolic anger at him, or there was logical. There was a lot of logic thrown out there too that was like, wow, this guy's a tyrant. But there was some vitriolic anger, right? Well, now they flip that around, and you get the people that were so in love with Obama, you turn that love into hate. You see how and then you flip the other side. Now they love their guy. It's tribalism, right? So they don't care about laws being passed or executive orders being passed that take away your rights. Like, I don't need a fucking bump stock, right? I have no use for one. But did Obama take your bump stock?
That
Nope.
would be a negative.
Nope. Pretty sure Obama didn't take your bump stock.
Negative.
Pretty sure it was that guy you voted for that was supposed to change shit up. I thought you guys were worried that Hillary was going to take bump stocks, but hey, it's cool.
He took gun control to a level that Obama never did. That's crazy.
Yeah, and
think about that.
All these red flag laws and all of that stuff, it's all happening.
Watch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the good guy. He's the good guy. He's the one that sent, a big portion of this community, I don't want to call it one name or another, back into that left-right paradigm nonsense, man.
And they'll all go lovingly back and do it again.
Yep. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And we've talked about that before, but I just don't get how people are falling for that crap, man.
Yeah, I don't. But
somebody genuine comes along. You mean they're either going to get wiped out pretty early in the game, or they're going to get corrupted by the time they get to any position of power. If not,
that's true.
Yeah, it's the way the game works.
Yep.
It's always worked that way.
Yep.
That's what really frustrates me. I thought we'd got to the point where enough people were waking up to this kind of crap, and then along comes Donald Trump. The actual reality.
They were waking up, and that's the whole thing. That's what I've been saying, dude. He was put in there on purpose. Trump. Here's my theory. People can call it a conspiracy theory. They can tell me I'm full of shit or whatever. But the whole thing was rigged from the beginning. Trump was supposed to get in, and Hillary was never going to get in. But in order to get them to play the parts, he thought he was just playing a part and wasn't going to get in. And she really thought she was going to get in, but she was obviously too sick. There's obviously something physically wrong with her, and they're not going to put her in. And that Yutz that was her would have been her vice president. Like, if there was somebody like a Dick Cheney figure that would have been her vice president, then maybe they would have let her in, because if she died, then you still got the agenda. That guy, really? No, she was never meant to win. Okay.
Right.
She didn't realize that. Her own ego blocked her from seeing that. And it's also compartmentalization. Each man knows only what he needs to know to do his job and nothing else. Okay? So that's the definition of compartmentalization. So she really thought she was going to win. That's why she was so emotionally distraught.
And Popeye, the best way to get all of these people that were waking up to this left-right paradigm bullshit, you get one of these presidential candidates to go on the biggest conspiracy platform in the world with millions of listeners, with Alex Jones, and boom, job done. You've just politicized and weaponized millions of people that were absolutely fed up to the back teeth of politics, and now, whoa, Donald Trump, we're back in. And as for Jones, I'm his biggest fanboy. I've always been his biggest fanboy until the other day. Because now, not only is he still up Trump's tuchus, but he's also now jumping back on the Q train.
Awful.
The guy is absolutely... no words for it, dude.
And I got to tell you, Scott, Kev, it's not your fault. You've done everything you can to try and get people onto a different mode of transportation. You know what I mean? It's that Q train is tough. I mean, there are some pretty brainwashed people there eating that up.
You think it's because there's so much of Alex's audience that are into Q that he feels now he needs to go back to it?
Maybe.
Because,
maybe.
I don't know.
I think he knows fine. I honestly do think he knows.
It's because he's unpersoned and he doesn't have the reach to the mainstream that he did. So he now has to go back and he has to buy into something that has a grassroots following of conservatives that he can still reach out to, because he's been blocked, from being more mainstream conservative.
He's got to be dying financially. I mean, that has, and no one deserves to be railroaded like that. But golly, I mean, it's got to be.
He's trying to stay relevant. And yes, look, as much as I think Alex Jones is a dick, right? I don't like him. My feelings about him have been known for years, right? And it's not just because, I don't like him. I don't like things he's done. I just don't like the way he is, right? So
That being said, I don't think that he should be depersoned or he should be deplatformed or he should have his voice taken away from him. And I'm not defending him, but I don't like neo-Nazis either. And I think that they should have, open free speech.
Popeye,
because if I take away theirs and I take away his, then you might as well take away mine because some of the things I say are unpopular or it might piss somebody off or might offend somebody, right? So we have to just allow free speech in a free society, even if you don't agree with it.
No, I'm with you, because I was speaking to Joe before the show about this, and I have never been a fan of Tommy Robinson. He's one of the most divisive characters in the UK. People love him or hate him.
You don't say.
But at the same time, I don't agree with the fact that he's no longer got a voice on most platforms. What happened to just our freedom of choice not to watch something we're into? If you don't like it, don't fucking watch it. You don't have to ban people because, today they come for Jonesy, today it's Tommy Robinson, but when's it Joe? When's it Popeye? When's it Scott? When's it me? That's a slippery slope.
The way they do that, Kev, is they brainwash the general public, dude, because the people that are calling a lot for the censorship are the same people that, would decry censorship against them not too long ago, right? So it's amazing that people want a certain type of speech censored because they don't like it or it offends their sensibilities or they don't believe in it or they buy into some bullshit that it's hate speech. I mean, now everything is hate speech. Conspiracies. We used to talk about how the term conspiracy theory or theorist will become a label to label somebody not just as a crazy nutter, so to speak, right, as you guys would say over in the UK or Scotland, but, as an evil individual. And I've heard that I've heard people talk and I've seen people comment and make, even if it's just comments on the internet, I've seen like comment threads, discussions where it's multiple people all in agreement. Like anti-vaccine talk should be considered hate speech and those people should be locked up and should be charged with murder or attempted murder because that's what they're trying to do. They're attempting to murder people by encouraging people to not get vaccinated.
I was just saying on the stream yesterday that somebody I still need to look up who it was, but they were trying to make the case of classifying anti-vaxxers as a hate group because they quote unquote hate their children.
Because they hate their. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. So everything, that's how they do it. It's all hate speech laws. Hate speech laws. You can't say anything because that's hate speech. You know what? Everybody needs to get their fucking panties out of their ass and stop being a bunch of pussies in this country. Okay? Yeah. That's the problem. Everybody's been brainwashed to being offended by every little fucking thing and to be so politically correct. You get to walk on eggshells around everybody. You can't fucking say anything. God forbid you make a joke. Mel Brooks has said he could never make any of his films nowadays.
Yep.
Okay?
Of course not.
Never make any of his films because he knows they would never be allowed out because there would be an uproar.
Popeye.
Classics like Racing Saddles in History of the World Part 1 would never exist.
Popeye, I watched an episode of The Love Boat a few weeks ago. And I swear to God, right?
Really? The old one?
Yeah, but see some of the jokes in that. See some of the jokes in it. You ain't going to get away with that nowadays. They're fat shaming people.
Like MASH.
Yeah, they're fat shaming people. They're chauvinists. It's bad. They take male toxicity to a new level. They really do. And I was sitting watching it thinking, you just couldn't make comedy or shows like this nowadays, even similar to that. You would never get away with it. Not here in the UK, anyway.
What about like All in the Family Popeye? I mean, people would have a heart attack. Or like Sanford and Son.
It'd be boycotts. There would be boycotts, dude. If anybody heard a stand-up routine by Red Fox nowadays, they would shit themselves. That guy was one of the funniest MFers on the planet, but he was like raw. I doubt you'll be able to find it on YouTube because it's probably been fucking copyright.
Oh man, yeah.
And that's the thing with those old shows like that, like you said, All in the Family, Sanford and Son, The Jeffersons, all of that stuff. All of that was actually bridging people together through humor, right? It was getting people who are black and white to laugh at each other and come together, and that was the whole point of it. It was like, you know what, let's not be so serious about all this. We can laugh at each other, we can have a good time. And it was like bridging gaps. I mean, that's one of the best way to bridge gaps between people is through humor and through laughter. You know what I mean? I always say cracking jokes and having a meal with somebody, breaking bread with somebody is the best way to get to know somebody and form a common bond, And now, I mean, we've lost that. There's no humor in anything. And it's like everybody is looking for something to be outraged about and be angry about with other people. And that's just kind of part of the social conditioning that's been going on, so it's sad that we're in this state now to where you can't even have comedy and humor and laugh about
it. Well, there's Kristen in the chat, right? Kristen, brilliant. I've seen you saying this before, but she says, my 18-year-old snowflake daughter takes offense at everything, even if it doesn't pertain to or about her. And that's the way it's going. It really is. I'm proud to say my boy, he doesn't go in for all this political correctness, all that crap. He's old school like me. Probably won't get far in the world, kind of mentality he's got because he's got old school thinking, but...
Yeah, so little brother, my little brother, he's about the same age as your son, Kev.
Yeah.
And he has that old school thought process. That's the thing I think I need to point out here is, everybody's kind of like talking crap on the new generation, and it's really not. I would say Generation Z is really starting to rebel against this whole PC culture.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff because
I agree.
They're getting it shoved down their throats, Scott, aren't they?
Yes, most of their parents are millennials. So the millennials are the ones that are engaged in the outrage culture and all of that stuff. And then they're raising kids, and kids are going to rebel. They're going to find some kind of a counterculture, opposing their parents. And right now, the counterculture is going against all of this politically correct bullshit, all this PC crap. And so you're like starting to see this new generation of kids go back to that old school way of thinking, like Kev was saying, that male toxicity and cracking jokes and being quote unquote offensive and basically having fun. It's kind of interesting to see how it's boomeranged on them and how this younger generation is kind of like fighting back.
Yeah, I mean, just a guy as well.
Can you imagine having one of these shrieking idiots as your parents?
No.
That have no connection to reality. Yeah. Well, I mean, my parents were not perfect, and like our generation, like everybody's parents like fucks their kids up even a little bit, right? And like, but and you can learn from that. Some parents are great parents,
dude. It's trial by
fire. Whoa, 5 lemons. We just got 5 lemons on 5 lemons on D Live. Sorry, Popeye. Nice. Thank you, sucker. Sucker gave me 5 lemons.
So like, I know they're not perfect and shit, but like, what the fuck, dude? What are they teaching their kids nowadays? Like, how are you gonna teach your kid to be like you? These people, some of these people have kids and they can't even like tie their own shoes, and then they have children, and then their kids have to raise them like that. That's unfair to the kid too. Like, man, I feel bad for the kids too. It's from this whole social experiment that has been going on. That's what this is all about,
And all they have to deal with it from their parents. Then they have to go to their government indoctrination center and deal with it from their teachers as well.
Yeah.
Oh God, and their teachers are shriekers too.
This is quite funny watching the chat room, Popeye, because you've been away for a while, right? But I think it's hilarious every week when there's new people that hear you. They're like, who is this guy? But I mean, I think to a man and woman, they all know that you're absolutely spot on. And folks, I'll drop Popeye's link for all his old interviews down the rabbit hole in the chat room so you can check out some of this crazy guy's work. I say crazy guy, that's a term of endearment over here in Scotland. It truly is. But we've got about 10 minutes left, guys. So, Scotty, I see you want to jump in here, man. Go for it.
I was just going to say, if you're searching out Popeye on YouTube, do not you come across a channel called DITRH. Because
right, I found DIRTH. This isn't Popeye's channel because I don't think, or maybe I'm wrong, Popeye, are you a flat earther?
He totally is.
Yeah. I'm such a flat earther. I lost 2 radio shows overtaking the owner of a network to task live on his own stream.
Oops.
So this isn't Popeye's channel, but
that night.
So yes, Popeye, we thought that we would inform you that there is a channel that has a very similar acronym to yours. That is a flat Earth
very
channel.
much so.
So just
it doesn't surprise me. My channel, I think I have to make it. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. Honestly, man, my channel has been eviscerated and just smashed.
Not much left on.
It's literally an archive channel. It's not like I was uploading other people's videos or anything. It's not like any of the other channels that I remember the one I had where it was a strict documentary channel. And
yeah, that was Federal Jack Tube 83, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah. I lost a few of them. Right. So, like, this one was just an archive channel of my shows, and more than half of them are like blanked out. You can't hear the audio. And it's super frustrating. That's why I'm trying to figure out. Maybe I'll go to DLive and start uploading my stuff there.
Oh, brilliant! Somebody in the chat room, Popeye. Somebody in the chat room. John Nelson, love it. Popeye is a flat bearder, love it.
He's a flat bearder, all right.
Flat bearder.
Right? I'm a flat bearder. I don't believe in that retarded bullshit. It's a psychological operation. I called it out years ago. Okay, and it's the same retarded bullshit. Now, when you go 9/11 truth, people go, "Oh, but you believe the fucking Earth is flat too." Yeah, no, I don't. I don't believe the Earth is flat. Actually, I think that's a stupid fucking psyop. I also don't believe that we're floating around on a fucking turtle's back. You know, maybe a cereal bowl filled with Fruit Loops. I could buy into that. Fruity Pebbles.
Listen, Popeye. There's somebody in the chat room. Somebody in the chat room says, and the name's D. They've listened to you for over a decade, dude. And I've seen just a guy talking positively about your serial killer stuff that you've done in the past as well. That's epic material. There's so much. You could sit here for hours and go through some of the stuff he's done.
He says you keep popping up like Doctor Who. That's
I'm like, if you're a Marvel Comics fan, it's more. I'm kind of like Doctor Strange, the master of the mystic arts. I can open up little portals in time. I can control the time zone.
D takes you to task. He says the Earth is a cube. Damn it.
Yes, it is. The question is it a Rubik's cube?
Well, anyone looking for Popeye's website, it's for the website out there.
It's some genius 9-year-old alien kid that's going to solve it.
Probably.
For the people looking for his website where you can get everything, federaljack.com. That's federaljack.com. And I urge everyone, head on over there.
Archives, too.
What one is it, Scott?
DTRH Radio Archives.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the YouTube channel. So, and I don't, sometimes Popeye Radio right now, even that link is getting like messed with. So the easiest way is if you go federaljack.com/Popeye, that brings you right to the direct like folder. It's a directory listing page. So it's a white page with just blue hyperlinks, and it'll have the name of the show and the date, and you can download it all for free. It's like high quality audio. I've always given away my archives for free. So I'm glad I'm melting all your new new listeners.
Dude, I've had people subscribing to my YouTube just because you're on it. So
because you're on?
Yeah, honestly, man. Stuff, yeah, I tell you, that's a kind of if that isn't people paying you a compliment, I don't know, dude. I really don't. Look at Joe. He's ready for his bed, folks. We're going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. Night. Yeah, we're going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. So
that's nothing new.
Nope. Nothing new at all.
Any talk except self.
Slippers on.
You see, this is where my spanner comes in and just like time people out and things because they obviously haven't been here for the full show and try and talk smack. Well, anything from the chat room, just type at Kev Baker Show and we'll throw it to Popeye. No doubt Popeye's the one that's going to get interrogated for 2 minutes here, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. So far, so good.
Federal Jack is sorta back. I like that. Well, I like that.
No, it's not .com. It's the it's PopeyeRadio.com. Everybody. Oh, look at this. We got a Just a Guy comes in with the super chat.
Well, let's hope it comes up this time. Just a Guy, you really are. I can't thank you enough for your support. I can't thank all of you enough for your support. And of course, excuse me, if you want to get a membership, that's another way you can support the channel.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Being a streamer, being a radio host, surprise, surprise, it's never going to make you like a millionaire. Never. So without you people out there, and of course I'm not working now. Will we get it? Will it
come through?
Will it come through?
Good show, guys. See y'all next week. Hit the like button and subscribe already.
That's what I'm talking about. You're awesome, man. And I hope we were talking about the ketamine treatment the other night for PTSD, and it was Just a Guy. He said he didn't mind me sharing that with people. Popeye, your quick thoughts on that before we go. Ketamine treatment for PTSD. What would you say to that, dude?
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with alternative therapies for PTSD. I think that's better than doping somebody up on drugs that are all like Prozac and shit like that, which are all fluoride-based drugs, which just do nothing but rot your brain and calcify your pineal gland.
Absolutely.
Why not try something different?
No, absolutely. And folks, we'll be back next weekend. I'll be back tomorrow on the Kev Baker Show. Nothing planned yet. I'm going to have a lawyer on some night. Ian Corzine's going to be coming on.
Man, fantastic. He was great when you had him on.
Oh, he really is. I'm going to be getting into the world of cryptozoology as well on Wednesday with Ryan Gable. Love Ryan Gable. He's just got a new baby as well. And I was telling him before the baby came, it's a paradigm changer, dude. It makes you grow up.
Yeah, he's a cute little bugger.
I've never seen anyone that's taken to, a new baby as much as Ryan. And I'm over the moon for him. I really am, because I think that's what we're all here for, guys, right? Our generation kind of went to sleep at the wheel, and we've got to try and make the world a slightly better place for the kids coming into it. Got to try. So, folks, Kristen, Just a Guy, Seymour Butts, Birdie, Colonic, and Marty, and everyone else I can't mention. We've had Nancy in there. We've had Billy Joe, Germanus. Thank you all for tuning in today. We'll be back. Thank you all to everyone over on D Live.
Everyone on D Live, thanks for
coming Scott. I remembered.
Eating the lemons.
Yes, I like a lemon. Maybe I should actually bring a lemon onto the show and like just suck on a lemon anytime somebody donates a lemon. That's like not quite as bad as it's not as bad as cutting your Johnson off for clicks, Scotty, right?
Well, you got to make it fun. If you're gonna do the lemon, you got to have the tequila with it.
Oh, nice. So then, Truth Frequency Radio tomorrow at 2 p.m. That's it. Exactly, Kristen. Folks, love you to bits. And remember, keep your minds open, but not to the point where your brains fall out. And Popeye, I'll give the last word to you, because I always used to love the way that you would take out down the rabbit hole, dude. Over to you, man.
Well, like I used to say back in the day on air, ladies and gentlemen, go out and be the change that you wish to see in this world. I believe in you. I know everybody on this radio call here and this live stream believes in you. You guys are the solutions to the problems out there. I used to say the solutions to our problems are an inside job. So go be the change that you wish to see in the world.
Absolutely. And on that note, folks, I think it's time for Joe's favourite music. And we're out of here.